we had Dr. Friels, we had you on in March, and when we were discussing the modern podiatrist line. And so, since I'll just kind of segue then into your introduction, I guess, but I'm bringing that up just because we had really great feedback from that webinar back in March. And so, just going along with that, just those live questions, getting real world examples, whatever anybody's struggling with or you haven't experienced, this is the time to ask those questions, because like I said, we had great feedback from Dr. Friel's first webinar with us doing the Mod Pod OTC line. So I'm very excited to hear about PowerStep. Obviously, we've had a good relationship with PowerStep for several years. Thank you, Jay. And so I wanted to acknowledge that you are here, and so smile. And but I also am excited to hear this talk, simply because when we go into physician practices, we see a lot of displays. We see a lot of things that ultimately a lot of practices that I go to just for my own healthcare are just collecting dust in the corner. And orthotics are such a staple in the podiatry space that it's really, sometimes I think we can forget that there is a science to moving these products off the shelves and, getting the dust off your shoulders and off of your orthotics. So hopefully we will learn a little bit more about that with Dr. Friels tonight. So she is the CEO and founder of Lexington Podiatry in Kentucky. And I would love to go down and do a little bourbon tour
Urban
with you.
Trail.
Yes,
We just
that'll
learned,
be
we just
different.
found out that we got like 1.6 billion in tourism in my county alone, which is insane for Kentucky. And it's all the Bourbon Trail. It's
So
nuts. So
people
come visit us. I would love
people
it.
like adult beverages. I know, I get it.
Mm.
But Dr. Friels is also, I mean, if you want to take a note from somebody on how to utilize social media, this is the person to just emulate. You have how many? 400 and over 400,000 YouTube subscribers and over 120,000 TikTok followers. I mean, that's just epic, especially for the podiatry space, because this isn't a world where we, get a lot of attention. So kudos on being able to establish that following. So I mean, I don't really have a ton to say here, because I think it's just, the proof is going to be in the pudding in tonight's presentation. But you've been working with PowerStep for a couple of months now, is that correct?
Yeah, we've just established a relationship, I think in the fall.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So, and PowerStep obviously being one of the household names in the podiatry space, there's just a lot to work with here. So you've got your prowess on knowing how to sell OTC, making that ancillary revenue in the practice, doing amazing things on social media with, one of the best brands, one of the longest
The number
building
one
brands in the
podiatry
industry.
recommended brand.
Absolutely,
The number
100%.
one
So
brand. Yeah, it's amazing how they really, I guess, support podiatrists, and then really getting involved with Jay and the team, and to see like, wow, there is a lot more behind this company than I would have ever expected.
well, that's exciting. And I am going to hide myself and mute myself and not take up any more real estate here, because I want us to get going, especially because I am looking forward to that live Q&A session at the end. Oh, just a quick
Yeah.
FYI, everybody. We are just going, Dr. Friels did record this presentation for us. So this is going to be a recording, but obviously Dr. Friels is here with us. So don't be confused. Don't want to throw anybody off and think you entered the Twilight Zone or something crazy happened. So we good to start?
Yep, we are good to start. I'll hit
Okay.
play, and I can pause at any time. So if you want to, throw up your hand or whatnot, I will pause it at that moment. I just wanted to make sure I got all of the points across for Power Step specifically, and then to elaborate more so. So after a long day of seeing patients, I didn't want to miss anything. Obviously, I don't want to disappoint them. So I recorded this before I went in clinic today, not knowing I was going to have 48 patients this afternoon. So I think I hit all the points, but again, if there's any more questions, just hit the button where I'll stop it, and then we'll address that, and then we'll move on. And
Thanks
the
for that.
reason this is relevant is because I wanted to showcase that I have done an incredible amount of work on evaluating inserts and things like that. I am also I'm heavily involved with Toyota, here in Kentucky, which I evaluate their work surfaces, their shoes, their feet, the foot function, and inserts, and how all of this comes together. Full disclaimer, I am a paid ambassador for Power Step for this presentation, so just a heads up there. But I also work with Brooks Running Shoe. I am their podiatrist, and I've worked with Timberland in creating boots for Toyota employees, as well as TheraFit Shoe Company. So let's jump in. This is tonight's agenda. We're going to talk about my journey and how I came to want to carry Power Steps, because I didn't, it didn't for many years. And the reason, we'll get into the reason why. And then we'll also talk about why I changed my mind. I do a ton of orthotic business, so I was always concerned with offering a high grade quality Power Step insert in my office that patients would select that over my custom orthotics. So I was concerned about it being cannibalized. Also talk about our team and how to get them involved. And of course, what everybody wants to know, the revenue and ancillary income that come with offering OTC. So I initially started with just about every other podiatrist. I focused on surgery. I did wound care. I did 10 nursing homes. I also was an independent contractor for when I first initially opened my private practice. Also, I did free foot exams on the weekends and evenings just to kind of drum up business. My point in telling you this is I was generalized. There was nothing super special. I was not niched in any capacity. So my husband always says, if you know a little about everything, then you are an expert at nothing. And that is the truth. He did not make that up. Somebody else said that. So this is where we are today. We have completely morphed into a biomechanic practice. I also do regenerative medicine. We had the lasers and all of that for nail fungus, but truly our focus is sports medicine, injuries, yada, yada. So with that being said, we have a tremendous amount of, insert business, both custom and OTC. So it was really important for me to select something that would be the best fit for our patients. All right. We all know this. This is no surprise to anyone. We have to pivot. Insurance companies, I find out every year, twice a year, January and July, they're not going to be covering orthotics. They're not covering this brace. They're not doing that. So especially after COVID, with potential online business, e-commerce, they were ordering them directly because no one wanted to come in, and I get it. So we have to find great medical grade alternatives for patients to buy on the spot. And I'll also walk you through on how you can still do your custom, but also integrate OTC options in your practice. So this is how much work I've done. I have literally tried every single OTC insert. I think we're up to 8 or 9 custom orthotic companies because it can be so confusing and they're just coming at us from all angles. In fact, in terms of our custom orthotic business, Anthem told us last month that we are the top 5% of dispensing orthotics. Now, that wasn't we like this, that you are doing this many orthotics. It was more of like, do you want to get audited? And this is where you stand. But they did not understand that our practice no longer deals with nails or anything like that, that this is what we do on a day-to-day basis. This is what we're known for. So point being, I have researched everything. I have tested, tweaked on the patients for, I guess, about 19 years now. I've had my own practice for 16. So that's where we're going to kind of transition into some stats that I had no idea about. Patients buy, I guess not patients, but on average, you buy 7 pairs of shoes every year. I'm 100% guilty, if not more. With that being said, I'm always pushing that custom orthotic as my primary for their function, or when they're going to be like heavy weight bearing the majority of the time. So I needed a solid OTC that they could not get on their own, that is going to be quality and that's going to stand up to our reputation and, of course, patient satisfaction. So can you believe that 2.68 billion in 2022, that's how much we spent on shoes? That's insane. So you have a shoe, you're going to need an insert. It's a no-brainer. Perfect. Here we go. So let's talk about what is not available online. I thought you could get Power Steps anywhere. I thought Pinnacle, Pulse, all of that in shoe stores, Amazon, yada yada. They're coming out of our ears. Patients know them, but I did not know until recently, in the past couple years, that ProTech is available only in doctors' offices. When I'm describing this to a patient, I definitely use buzzwords like this is a medical grade. You cannot get this in shoe stores because of the quality is better. They only use like the highest quality not ingredients, highest quality materials when doing this, because they can definitely separate out this more premium OTC insert from the rest of the pack. So that's kind of the difference. And I always discuss this with the patient so they know how this is different. That is my job. Plus, in addition to ProTech, and we'll get more into detail with that because that's what we want to carry in our office. We don't necessarily want to carry everything, but if you do, they have a power step for just about every single diagnosis. We have built these into our protocols. And we'll go into a minute how our team really helps because they know our protocols. But everything from plantar fasciitis, arthritis, neuromas, high arches, low arches, I mean, it goes on and on. They have a solution for everybody. I feel like personally, when a patient sees their diagnosis on the actual box, that really just drives home that this is the correct insert for them. It's just kind of visual recognition and reassurance, really. As we all know, everybody will this fit into my dress shoe? More than likely not for a custom orthotic. However, Power Step offers just about everything for every work type, every shoe type, from dress shoes to tennis shoes for kids. The width, that's a big one. I find that patients struggle with finding one that's wide enough, especially for my patients that work at Toyota, because they typically wear their custom at work. And then I recommend the Power Step to be used when they're mowing the lawn and outside of work, because they don't want to take their shoes. They have a locker there. They keep their boots and their orthotics. And honestly, they don't have time. They're working 12 hours a day. So no one really has time to continue to move all of these inserts around, especially if you're buying 7 pair a year. I mean, I don't know about your closet, but mine has tons and tons of shoes. I mean, some shoes I've had for over 10 years. You know, those dress shoes that you don't wear very often, but you need a little support. Personally, I have a high arch, so my foot is very unstable. So I do need something in my dress shoes just to help me when I put my foot down to make sure I'm not rotating and kind of wanting to sprain my ankle. So I love it because they are also really sleek, super duper low profile, and they've got so many different modifications built in the ProTech that patients need. You know, if it's a metatarsal pad, if it's for a low arch. I will tell you, I have tested many, many high arch OTC inserts for me, and this is the only one that even comes close to meeting and contouring my arch. So this is, I would say, the highest arch OTC insert on the market outside of one, and that would be Quadristep, which I fully support that company as well. There are just some limitations that are there that Power Step has filled in the gap for me and our patients. They can pretty much, you know, grab a pair for work, grab a pair for going out to dinner, all that type of stuff. The big thing I really notice that I love is the heel post. The heel post, as you know, the rear foot is the brains to the foot. If you have a lot of instability, typically with high arches and low arches, you need that heel post because to help control the supination and pronation. Additionally, you can add a bit of a heel lift. So if you have someone struggling with a limb length discrepancy, add a heel lift. Or if they need extra pronation or extra supination to put them in that subtalar joint neutral, you can just add a wedge. And it's so versatile because you're controlling it. And I honestly encourage my patients to shift it, especially the snap-ons, shift it the way is most comfortable for them, because often they need to wear it for a week or two and then they can adjust it. So lots of options and these built-in features that are pretty unique to Power Step that our patients just have we have incredible patient satisfaction. And we'll get into repeat business in just a moment. But of course, they offer 3/4 length. I mean, that's kind of standard, but theirs is super sleek. For me, I feel like it's a little more narrow and contours to the sole of the shoe a little bit better than what I have tried. Okay, this is the hardest and the easiest part. Training your team. Our team knows our protocols. So when they have a patient that comes in, they've already been successfully triaged, they have heel pain, for example, we know their insurance coverage. Not that we want to read a patient by their insurance coverage, but we need to be prepared before we walk into the room with options. I need to know if their insurance is not covering orthotics, because that could potentially be a negative Google review that comes back on me. She's pushing these custom orthotics when I know they're not covered. So my pitch is, we'll see what your insurance says about custom orthotics. However, for some reason, if they do not cover them, then I have an excellent medical grade over-the-counter insert to test out prior to deciding to spend that money or not. And of course, that is the power step. So at that point, I'm looking, do they need a metatarsal pad? Do they need a wider insert? Do they need a high arch? All of that stuff comes into play. So not only have I taken this potential burden off of the patient in just determining, hey, on the spot, do I want to pay $600, which is what we charge for a custom orthotic, or do I want to start with something that's $65? And typically I will schedule them back in about a month. And more often than not, I'm able to convert them to a custom orthotic because I had successfully fit them with something that they already love. And then we go into, you can use this outside of those times. It's truly a convenience factor. Patients hate removing those inserts or orthotics and moving them from shoe to shoe, especially those full length ones. If you don't have a good company that is giving you a lot of structure at the forefoot, then it's always bending, it's always rolling over, it's super annoying. I mean, even to me. So patients are like, yeah, this is great. Let me go ahead and take that next step. So really encouraging your staff to, number one, when they're walking back to the exam room, find out, are they limping? Is it potential for one leg longer than the other? Are they rolling out, rolling in? And they kind of give us little cues. Also, if they talk about, oh yeah, my husband has heel pain too, then we already know that before we go in the room, because my MA has alerted me to that. And so when I go in, I'll tell them, oh, hey, I understand your husband has heel pain as well. You know what? We could grab him a pair of inserts if you want to take these home to him, and he can test them out before he needs to make an appointment with a doctor. 9 out of 10 always do it. So it's not only the patients that are sitting in your chair, really truly like listening to what they're saying. And we do this with all of our OTC. Mom, dad, anybody, oh, they have fungus. Great. Here is our repair. It's our total nail renewal. Take this home, test it out for a couple months. If they need us, let them call us. So really, again, this is getting your team on board is massive. We have a incentive program, which is by far our most successful incentive program to date. So we want Google reviews. Everybody does. So when we get a Google review, if there's no specific name mentioned, then they get a point. If their name is mentioned, they get 5 points. So we know that they have gone above and beyond. When they hit 30 points, then they can reach into a basket that has gift cards ranging from $5 to $100. This is a huge team builder because they're all rooting for each other because they're all winning. It really helps you highlight what MA to maybe focus on or have them move up the chain in terms of leadership. Those names they become very, very obvious. And those that are more low on the totem pole, they feel the pressure. They really do. They're not playing their part, and it's in the data. You cannot deny it. So anyway, this is the best program. I would highly recommend it. It's very inexpensive. And honestly, like the benefit far outweighs the cost of what you would pay for those gift cards. All right, let's jump into a little bit of money. Okay, I did not know that Power Step is made in the USA. I love that, especially after COVID. I mean, come on. So, with that being said, 98% of your orders will get delivered within 24 hours. Your order will be processed, it will be in the mail. As we know, when we run out of something, it's very frustrating because it's like that's money you're losing. This patient's like, yeah, I want it. And you're like, oh crap, I'm out of your size. I don't know. So really staying on top and having a par level is what I would recommend for your inventory. Obviously keeping track of that very closely because these people are like ready to hand you money. And if you don't have that product, then they're out the door. Who knows if they're going to come back and want that. Speaking of coming back, we have an incredible repeat business for Power Step. We have a really nice display in our reception, which allows for, patients and friends, family of patients that are just hanging out, waiting on them to be finished. They can shop. And this converts quite a bit of sales. I always tell the patient, hey, expect this to last maybe 6 months, maybe more. When you run out, you don't even need to see me. Just pop in the front door and tell them your size and style, and well, size really, because we keep the style that we have dispensed in their chart, and then it's an easy transaction. So repeat business is easy, easy money. I love how they provide us with a ton of free marketing materials from brochures. I mean, it's all on the website and it's not ugly, which is always helpful. And they're always updating that as well. So anything you can do to, give your patient more education. Maybe they don't want to buy it that day for some reason. I mean, it costs pennies to hand them a brochure about that product. And with knowing they may come back next week and get it. Also, to help drive home the importance of that particular insert for that patient, PowerStep puts a lot of education on their boxes, which is really unique. It is super robust. So this takes the onus off of the provider having to list every benefit of the insert, and we allow them to just kind of handle it and hold it. I'll walk out of the room. Just kind of helps kill time. It's almost like, growing up, we were reading all the information on the cereal box before we had cell phones. This is kind of that. It's killing time. They're educating themselves. So it's pretty much sold by the time that we walk back into the room. They also offer, in terms of patient education, they spend a massive amount of money on national marketing campaigns. This is paying for your marketing. This is incredible because not a lot of companies besides Dr. Scholl's, which if there's anyone that likes Dr. Scholl's, please personally call me. I'd love to talk about what you're seeing here. But anyway, they spend a ton of money there. So it's just doing the work for you, making your job easier. Kind of like when Jublia came out, everybody flooded the practice wanting Jublia because Jublia successfully educated these patients on what they need. This is the same thing. So when we bring all of this together, ProTech just offers a lot of versatility, a lot of variety, and this helps with your reputation. So we have something for them, and they love that. They don't have to go anywhere. They don't have to get online and buy something. It takes out the concern of them shopping on Amazon and wondering if this is going to work for them or not. Because more than likely, as you've all heard, they tell you I've spent hundreds, thousands of dollars if you've gone to the Good Feet store, which is insane, to spend $3,000 on 3 pieces of plastic. They're already frustrated. So when we put this in their shoe, and often if they already have an insert, or maybe an old orthotic, I'll put it in their shoe, one shoe, and then I'll put the other device in the other shoe and let them walk down the hall. It's an immediate improvement. And so it's like, oh yeah, these are much better. Okay. Let's take them. So again, that's patient satisfaction, which is just more revenue in your pocket. I really try to make this as seamless and easy as possible for the patient to eliminate confusion. And with the option to modify these on the spot, patients really respond quite well to them. So in terms of specifics for our practice, we are on trend to dispense about 384, and that is, minimal effort. This is just basically the team and us kind of mentioning it. The charges were 26,000. The profit was 20,000. This is easy money. I almost consider this almost like mailbox money, especially if it's repeat business because there's zero effort. We include these with social media giveaways, of course, transitioning from the orthotic. I guess when you're waiting on your orthotic, this is an easy one. If someone's going on vacation, hey, you need something in the meantime, let's go ahead and try this out while your orthotic is being made. I also like to give it to referring providers. This helps them kind of helps them remind themselves to refer to me. It didn't make sense, but you get my point here. So we do it giveaways. We definitely ask for the referring coordinator's shoe size because we want them to have a pair, and often they really look forward to it. So sometimes I try to do this annually. It's just a good reminder that, hey, I am here. Definitely giveaways, super easy, super inexpensive. This is seamless income that is kind of a no-brainer to add to your practice. If you're struggling with dispensing OTC inserts and or custom orthotics, please reach out to me. I have so many different ideas for creating income that's easy, because honestly, it just gets harder. So we have to pivot around all of these insurance, parameters that continue to change. So if you're interested in obviously carrying my foot care line, hit the QR code, follow me on social media. I'd love to be Instagram friends with you or Facebook. And always keep in mind, be different. That is my number one rule. I'm a swim upstream kind of girl, and I think it helps. It really helps you separate yourself from the pack. And offering all these OTC options in your practice really helps to make your practice a one-stop shop. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed. I am ready for your questions. Let's get started.
I love it. Let's be friends. And you're drinking a glass of wine like in real time. So
right? I figured that was like so appropriate for my ender.
I'm obsessed with it.
Good. Awesome. Okay, guys, I want you to hammer with questions. Let's knock it out. It's 8:32. Any questions about practice management? Anything from A to Z, please hit me up.
So yes, right now are you able to see the questions, Dr. Shreels?
Yeah, no, I'm horribly this is like the hardest part of anything I do is this technology.
Well, see, but no, this is good because then I have a purpose.
Sweet. Okay, let's do
it.
I
can be here for something. I am not just just wasting oxygen.
Right.
So obviously, this is the time to start typing in those questions. Also, like Dr. Fields mentioned when we first started, share some of your own experiences. What are your kind of, whether it be horror stories or awesome stories about dispensing orthotics in your practice?
Okay. I would really love to know, I would love to know what the limitations are personally. And next time, guys, I'll do this live. It's way easier. It's way more fun. But I really want to know what the hiccup is, because I've been through those hiccups and I can help mitigate the denials and help you convert sales. So you can, obviously the bottom line is important. Okay. Given the human foot is naturally zero drop, what are the pros and cons to zero drop heel inserts? Man, anonymous. That's a really good question. I would love to know. I wish this person could turn on their camera. In terms, I think we just need to talk about this as colleague to colleague, because it's not really a specific question that I can answer on my own. We just need to have a conversation about this. So we more than anything, we talk about zero drop shoes. So a zero drop heel insert is not what PowerStep offers, I don't believe, because they're corrective inserts, especially ProTech. Does Anonymous want to have a conversation? Okay. So you have my email. I would love to talk about this just a little bit further and I'm happy to do kind of a follow-up addendum to this and blast it out to everybody if you like. So when we talk about natural foot type, I think this is probably like a minimalist type person that's asking this question, because it is a massive controversy of, should we do go barefoot or should we do correction? Personally, my thought is, we're in business for a reason. And if you could go barefoot, then every single one of my patients that go barefoot in their house, I mean, that I see, because they're coming to me with foot issues. So apparently that's not working for them. Tile, hard surfaces, hardwood floors, things like that's not working for them. So, sorry, next question came in. So anyway, I would like to have like a deeper conversation, because this is, like I said, the most controversial issue in podiatry is to go minimalist or not. Personally, I wouldn't say in between. I have a foot condition, so I cannot go barefoot. I cannot go that route. And a lot of our patients that come in cannot do that either. So they're coming to us for a reason. I hope that helps. If not, you have my email, drfriels@modernpodiatrist.com. Shoot me. Cell phone number 859-967-7168. We'll have a deeper conversation about that one. Do you ever email your patients to promote orthotics? Hell yeah. Yeah, we do. We do massive recall program. In fact, we do, when we dispense a pair of orthotics, we have we educate them that within 6 months, they get a 50% discount on a second pair of orthotics. So we're educating them in multiple ways. And sometimes, even if it's, especially if it's like a VIP patient that it's that level, I'll go ahead and give them a free pair of Power Steps, because I want them to tell their friends about our practice. So it's an easy conversion from the OTC to custom. So yeah, we absolutely promote orthotics on social media. We promote OTC as well, because we have to have a balance at this point. Patients, how many people, I wish you could like raise your hands, how many have seen the orthotic coverage drop specifically this year in January? We had a massive drop. It was a complete surprise to us. So we had to have a filler, and I did not want to fill it with something I didn't believe in. Because, again, it's a reputation thing. I mean, it sounds narcissistic, I'm sure, but I don't want to give anyone a crap product, because it's only going to come back on me. So that's a big reason why, Power Steps is what we went with. We've carried just about everything, like I said. Okay. How do you manage expectations with inserts, OTC, orthotics for high-end dress shoes, some with little or no back for patients that have had chronic conditions like plantar fasciitis? Okay. If I'm understanding this correctly, Ben, how do I manage? As a female, I tell them, just be smart about it. If I wear high heels, I expect to have some level of discomfort. Any woman that thinks that that's not possible it's asinine. There's no reason. Everybody knows, hey, I'm going to have a little bit of discomfort. I try to mitigate their concerns with wearing orthotics and OTC inserts by saying, wear it when you're cooking, cleaning, laundry, running errands, working out. That's when you need the orthotic or the OTC insert. Outside of that, wear whatever you want. Women love to hear that. If you try to take, and we all know, if you try to take a high heel or a dress shoe away from a woman, good luck. And for the men out there watching this, I would highly recommend to never say that, because you are digging your own grave. So just they want to wear this. So try to find a common ground, and really, with having that 3/4 length dress insert from Power Step, it's super easy to slide in ballet flats. Now the high heel, there's a high heel version. It's more difficult for me to wear, but I would recommend, just wear those whenever you're going to be on your, not on your feet a lot. Wear them to dinner, have your husband drop you off at the curb, walk in. Who cares what they're wearing? They could wear an 8-inch heel. It's not really going to make a difference for 100 feet walking in to sit at a dining room table. Okay. What do you do for met adductus? I seem to have a decent sized populations of patients with moderate to severe met adductus. Or maybe these patients just stand out to me because they seem to be so difficult to make happy orthotics. Custom or not, they seem to never be happy. Any advice? Excellent question. I really think you need to look at the rigidity and the flexibility of the foot. How much manipulation can you do with that patient's foot? So if they have a super rigid foot, you're dead in the water. You're not moving anything. I typically focus on, do they have equinus, ankle joint contracture? And so I supplement in my night splint. And then I also have a video on YouTube that I share with them to focus on actively stretching. So that doesn't change metaductus, but it helps them become more adaptable to an insert, custom or not. Their foot seems to acclimate better to it. Of course, we all know metaductus is genetic. You cannot structurally change anything. So we have to support. And with metaductus, what specific ailments are bothering them? Is it a fifth met issue? Is it a hammer toe? Like whatever it is. So I work around that, and I will modify the power step insert or the orthotic. I'll look obviously for pre-made modifications in the power step, but it really is patient specific on what they are, what they're dealing with. Because metaductus, you can have whatever 20 different ailments with it. So I would really focus in on that. Can you say your email again? I would love to follow up with you regarding the zero drop question. Absolutely. So it's drfreels, Freels, at modernpodiatrist.com. Do you find patients that patients love their power steps? Yes, this was a concern. This is why I didn't want to carry power steps, because again, they're everywhere. It's really hard to be a private practitioner, and they have a lot of money to spend on marketing. We don't. So I didn't want to cannibalize, like I said, my business, my orthotic business, with power step. So I get them on the hook typically for a custom first, or I will give them like that interim pair. But really nowadays, like, I don't know where you guys live, but Kentucky sucks for covering custom work. They do. I mean, so unless you're really gifted, I fortunately am a CPED as well. So this is how much orthotic and insert business I do. And I needed that certification to be able to communicate with the patient why they need this over that. But I find it does not cannibalize my business. In fact, it's greatly padded our bottom line, because I have given them another option. And once I put that in their shoe, and that's why I said I do a follow-up in about a month, and they're like, oh, this is great. They understand what's going on. I cannot encourage you enough, if you have a digital x-ray system, to draw angles, show them where they are, especially the ankle joint. If it's tilted, obviously we all know they have to be in neutral. So if you can show them and how their leg is malaligned, it really visually sells any product you have, custom or not. So they know they need something. It depends on the negotiation of their insurance, their funds and whatnot. But we offer something for both. And obviously I can confidently stand behind the product, because I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't. All right, hope that, okay, nope, we got that one. Do you offer a money back guarantee if the orthotics do not help patient condition or they are not satisfied? No, they're custom. The only time, because our orthotic company that we use offers many, many modifications. So I don't have to worry about not satisfying the patient. Plus we have a lab in our office, and being a CPED, I'm able to modify custom orthotics for patients' comfort, or at least understand why. And I will give you one tidbit if you don't already know. Patients with neuropathy, I beat my head against the wall for a freaking decade. But patients with neuropathy, they can't even wear socks. 25% of them can't wear socks. So if you introduce any device to them, they're going to be pissed. They're not going to be satisfied. So make sure you work that up and figure out why they can't. I've also found out that patients with equinus, the plantar fascia is so tight, introducing something that's firm or even soft is an irritant to their arch. So definitely focus on, and that's a great revenue generator, focusing on getting them stretched, focus on them getting stretched, and a night splint, a stretching splint is what I say. A stretching, I don't even use the word night splint because people are like, oh, I have to sleep in it. So anyway, make sure that fascia is nice and loose so they can acclimate easily to an insert or custom orthotic. Second part of that question also, does Power Step have promotional materials such as posters of all the orthotics that can be placed in exam rooms? Jay, that's an excellent question for you. I'd say yes. I feel like you guys have every marketing material you're ever going to need.
Yes, we do. We have posters, brochures, marketing materials we can provide. If you want to advertise on Facebook, we have templates. So yeah.
Oh, cool. I'll take some of those. I didn't think about that.
Not for you. You can't have them.
I will tell you, and again, having worked with so many companies, they have a great customer service platform. It's really, I think it's different because they really engage the podiatrist like population. And I'm not saying anything bad about any of the others, but I have tons of vendors. I mean, I have 150 SKUs for OTC in my practice, and just working with different companies, they're super easy to work with. And I know I'm getting paid to do this, but I promise you that these sell themselves. So if you're looking to for extra revenue, and also looking for a supplement to custom for those patients that get pissed or just offended that their insurance doesn't cover it, then to me, we slide this right in. And once we have them, just put them in their shoes and walk down the hall. It's sold. That's the best part about it. You don't really have to sell it. It sells itself because it's everywhere. And there you go.
The initial part of that question too, as far as money back guarantee, Power Step does have a 30-day money back guarantee. So obviously if the patient, can't handle it, can't tolerate it, they come back to you, we'll obviously make you whole. So
do they come to us or do they come directly to you?
No, they would bring it back to you and then we would reimburse you.
So we collect that insert and then just report that to you. Do we need to mail those back or you trust us?
Yeah.
Okay. At 100 today that were returned.
I had a question for you, Dr. Friels, because obviously we're talking about moving more OTC orthotics, and then obviously you do have other OTC lines in your practice. And earlier you were talking about training your team. I guess, what is your advice on, hey, how many things are you pushing on one patient? Like, when does it become overwhelming? How do you choose? Am I going to try to move a Power Step orthotic, or am I going to try to move a moisturizer? And obviously condition is a factor, but maybe they need both. And so where's the, happy medium and the balance where they don't feel overwhelmed or that they're like now in a flea market?
I 100%. This is a great question. I call that the kitchen sink. When I've gotten reviews in the past from Google, over a decade ago, when I was trying to figure all this out, and of course, trying to generate income because I'm a solo practitioner at that point. Number one, I took body language courses off of Creative Live. So I tried to really communicate non-verbally with the patient to understand their head position, their mannerisms, and how to drop your tone if they're a little angry, or how to heighten them up if they're a little depressed. So I did a lot of work on just body language alone. And so when you talk about reading patients, you think you can, it's hard because you don't know what they've been through. So someone could come in, and being from Kentucky, we have tons of horse farms. So they'll come in looking like a pauper and they're like a billionaire. You would never know because they've got dirt, they've drug all over your floor. So don't read them by the way they look, and then talk about each. I tell people that have multiple issues, I'm like, you're like an onion. we are going to peel back layer by layer and determine, and this is going to be confusing. So here's my free or my text line. You can call me. I have lots of information on my website, and I highlight in terms of like, especially products. Like for example, our antifungal nail fungus, antifungal product called Repair. It's a 4-in-1. It's a total nail renewal. So I use hands as well to make them understand visually that this is going to solve whatever discoloration, thickness. And I talk about each active ingredient that will help them, and that helps them better understand. So it's just really intently listening. And a lot of patients that come in from other practices and other doctors, I mean, we've all heard it. Like, you're the only one that listens to me. It's because you are really intently grabbing those different keywords that they're saying. It's almost like, think about it like SEO. You know, you're tapping into the SEO that the patient is saying, and you are then connecting it with what a product is. And then I have recognized it. I'm like, hey, this is super overwhelming. I have given you so much information. You don't have to make any decisions today. I'm not going anywhere. And so taking that step back, that really gives them the control of the conversation, and they don't have that buyer's remorse because they know we're working through this together. This is we're a team solving your problems, and not it's me dictating you need to buy 18 things.
Well, and I assume too that when they come back for follow-up visits, that's a different opportunity to discuss a different product that's relevant to their condition that maybe would have been too many things all at once.
Exactly. Sometimes I'll stair step it. I'm like, you have like 10 things going on. What are your top 10 or top 5? And we'll talk about the next 5 next month, because they don't know. And so I think it's our job to almost pace them with and so I was like, what's your number one issue we need to talk about today? And if it's something that's super complicated, like radiculopathy with a, I don't know, pes cavus or something like that, I highlight I typically attack the pain part first, and then I'll go down to cosmetic. So I'll have them and I don't want to drag out appointments at all, but we need to for them, because they come in typically with 18 years of issues. And they're like, okay, now I'm thinking why now? Why not 19 years? Why not 20? It's always pain related.
I was going to ask you, so you said you saw 48 patients today. Did you find time to move any product?
I don't even know. I was in the zone. 48 patients from 1 to 5. It was an emergency situation with the provider. You know, we all have it. So I was like gangbusters. But fortunately, doing my residency at the VA, we had to knock them out. It was a lot. So it's been several years since I had to do that.
But I do think it's really important what you mentioned about the keywords and listening. And obviously, when you have team members, the longer your team members are on staff, the easier it becomes for them it's really a critical thinking skill to be able to have the conversation and recognize the open opportunities for a sellable opportunity, I guess. And until your staff has that conversation over and over and starts recognizing where those opportunities lie, obviously it's going to be a lot on the practitioner's shoulders, him or herself. So I mean, that's another thing. How do you keep your team on staff? How do you keep turnover down in order to maximize those training sessions?
Honestly, I know everybody says we have the best team. It's incentive. It's that incentive program that I mentioned. It's them, we hire for personality. We don't hire for skill set. So my number one thing is employees or staff members have to love our patients. They have to have a great personality, and they have to care. That's it. If they care, they are already listening. They're already healthcare givers. They just don't know it. And so we only ask them to communicate to us. And if you communicate, then you get rewarded financially. It's a no-brainer.
And I assume all of your staff members have Power Step inserts in their shoes.
Yep. Power Step custom. We try to, have something in their shoe. Because obviously if you experience it,
They'll
it's
tell their own story.
because they have to tell their own story, and they take them home to their family members and they test them out on their children. And we want them. I mean, we give it to them. I mean, I don't charge them for that because I want them to have their own, like you said, their own story to share.
That's the one thing I think is really important, because obviously orthotics, as long as they're not being, pounded on for years and years, it's not like they have a shelf life really. But like other OTCs, emollients, anything antifungals, they have shelf lives. And I had written a blog several months ago, and it was just about collateral, but getting these things out of your office. If something's going to expire, at least give it away so that it can start. It's better, I feel like, to give something away and allow somebody to at least try it versus just throwing it in the trash. Because if one person tries something, then it creates that domino effect of satisfaction and referrals. So get the stuff out of your office. I mean,
Absolutely.
Never let it sit there and collect
They're
dust.
your best advocates because, as we all know, once the patients trust our staff more than they trust us, because we're doctors, we have all the money, we're rolling in it, right? They trust the MAs who are broke as a joke. So they're having a lot of conversation with them. So to me, whatever, I don't even know the cost of a wholesale power step. I'm sure Jay does, but it's nominal. If they recommend it once a day, once every week, it's going to pay for it, because they're going to have that for like what, 6 to 8 months, probably a year.
And we do have a field sales team. So obviously they can come in and do in-services for your staff. They'll seed the samples. Because again, we're all about believers too, right? And we believe in our product, want to get it underfoot, and then obviously they'll be able to speak from experience.
Yeah. I mean, I think y'all are like obviously the #1 recommended brand for a reason. And it's been there for, I don't even know how many years. I didn't want to onboard you guys because you're everywhere. And I really did not feel comfortable with that for, again, over a decade, because I don't want to compete with Power Steps because I can't. So to me, let me offer something that is truly customizable. But then I was like, the ProTech came out, and I don't understand why every podiatrist doesn't know that. I mean, for me, doing all this research and finding it out, and that's the purpose of this webinar, is to educate and say, hey guys, there's a power step our patients can't get their hands on, right? What's that look like? And so then the marketing, of course, just supports it. It doesn't work for us, so it's pretty easy.
Can't beat them, join them.
Exactly. Because I don't want to compete with Amazon. I can't. So anything that's on Amazon, I'm out. And I say that, but my product line is on Amazon, but it's 20% higher than, because Amazon fees are insane, than they can get anywhere.
I love that, though, that you say it that way. Like, you're just blunt about it and truthful about it and transparent about it, because and so many parties, it's like, let's beat those people. Let's beat them. It's just like, find something that's different, position yourself differently versus trying, like, you're not going to beat them at their own game. That's not going to happen. So you have to play a different game.
Absolutely. 100%. Amazon's a beast, they are. And I think just pivoting and offering, I mean, it was a real big, honestly, after January was really eye-opening. And I would love to know if anybody else is suffering with, dealing with Amazon, and, patients like actively Googling, like, oh, I can get this cam walker for, $30, and you're selling this to me for $221. And I'm like, well, shit, what am I going to do now? Okay, but it's not personally, we all have that kind of like way to get out of it. So yeah, I wasn't interested in competing at all with Amazon.
So we've got 2 more questions, and then we are at our 8 o'clock. Well, 9 o'clock. I'm in Illinois, so the sun is the sun. Okay, this is how dumb I am. Is the sun still up everywhere?
It's going down now. Yeah. I'm excited for the for 620 to
I'm not. I've got a certain skill set. The outside sky is not part of it. Okay. You want to take these last two questions, Dr. Friels?
How many pair of Power Steps do we dispense? It's approximately one a day, which is probably low, but given, we have a massive orthotic business, as I've already mentioned, we are probably at 250 pair a month of custom orthotics, which is why we're red flagged with every single insurance company. But, our documentation adds up, and that's just what's billed to insurance. That's even consider what's cash. So that's approximately what we are doing right now. We have 3 providers. My husband's in the background. He's like, how many providers? 3 providers. So I easily have over 150 a month myself. And someone's asked, to Sarah's point, do you train your MAs yourself? Hell no. No. Listen, we don't make it. No. What we have done, honestly, in the last 2.5 years is we did a massive office cleanup. We were at over 500 phone calls. No, I'm sorry, 250 phone calls a day coming into our office. And it was just a beast. We had 27 exam rooms. It just got to the point where it was just too much. And I wanted to have more of a boutique practice. We don't do any surgery. It's truly biomechanics and fungus. That's pretty much it. Yes, all of my MAs are certified. They have not taken any orthotic courses. I train on the spot. So for example, today, someone asked me, what's a Morton's extension? It's a new hire. And so I explained to them what it is. So it's kind of like a one-on-one. And so I allow them to ask questions why I'm doing this. And I explain even more. And so then I'll ask them maybe a week later, hey, tell me about that Morton's extension we talked about last week. What's that for again? And so I'll quiz them, comfortably quiz them to make sure that they understood it. And if they do, then I know that they were listening. And if I don't, that person's on my radar. They're not paying attention. They don't give a shit. They're just, making conversation for no reason. So yeah, we have a great lead team. We actually, our office functions kind of like a corporate office where we have our director of operations and then everybody falls down below that. And so we trust our leads, we educate our leads, and we make them accountable. So they have a weekly meeting. Yeah, that's about it.
Awesome sauce. Jay, did you want to close out with anything, with any news about Power Step where you guys might be out and about? Do you have any shows coming up, or will Dr. Friels be out doing like pop-up shops anywhere? I don't know what I'm talking about.
Like a trunk show.
You have to do one. Now you have to do one.
We're heading to the Western this week, so we'll be out in Anaheim.
Oh, nice.
If anyone's attending, please stop by. We'll have samples. We did buy another brand. It's called Curex. I know there was a question about a drop insole. And Curex is a 0 drop. So if it's something you believe in, and again, that minimalistic approach, we do have another brand that offers that. So.
I would love to talk to your biomechanic team to really discuss, that in detail, because I love learning about this stuff. So to me, obviously, I want to be as educated as possible on anything that's coming out, for sure. So awesome. Oh my God, thanks for tuning in, everybody, on Monday, which sucks, but hope you got some
when you're like, Kentucky sucks.
I think that, it would be great to, set a goal for yourself tomorrow. Whatever OTC item you have in your practice, let's set a goal of, let's dispense 5 tomorrow. And let's figure out, if you can't meet that 5th one, why? Are you buried in toenails? Is it something? Because if someone comes in with an IPK, a callus, even a wart, I had a patient today that had a wart that had been there for 2 years. It's the first time I'd seen him, because he had a plantar flex metatarsal. As we know, that's going to be a skin irritation. It's going to be constant. So I offloaded it with added a Met pad, or I used the Power Step with the Met pad, and then I actually hold out sub 2 to allow that metatarsal to float. So my goal is the friction from the insert will be mitigated just by using, and I mean, it's for a wart. So everyone sees warts, everyone sees these dermatological conditions, and just think about how you can address the musculoskeletal condition that's underlying that has not been done before.
I like that concept. Well, I like leaving with an action item, first of all, like all the time. That's always just useful because let's do something with this information. And I think for a lot of practices, especially maybe not the physicians, but if everyone could ask their teammates, their MAs and their staff members, because this is about ripping off the Band-Aid and getting comfortable bringing up these products. And like day one, like every day, just mention a Power Step orthotic to 2 patients. Just make it like just 2 patients every day, just mention it. And then that just starts to become less and less nerve-wracking. I mean, it's just like public speaking or anything else. The more you do it, the more you just decide you can wing it. And if your pits get a little sweaty, no one will notice.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you, Sarah, because it's a comfort zone. And if you're educated about the product, then it sells. If you're not, you're dead in the water, because patients know. They're like, she's full of shit. So
if you don't talk about it, if you don't get in the habit of talking about it, you won't ever be comfortable answering the questions. Like, you got to be uncomfortable not knowing the answer to a question here and there. Like, you just got to break through it.
That's when you go, and that's why I became a CPED, is because I wanted to know an answer to every question that was coming at me, except for that 0 drop thing. I mean, listen, bring it on. I'm rated like anonymous. Better email me.
It's a fake question.
Right? Of course.
Well, thank you guys so much. Dr. Friels, thank you. Jay with Power Step, thank you always. Supporting podiatrymeetings.com. We love it. Obviously, we'll have more from you guys throughout the year. So everybody who's still online, be sure to keep your eyes peeled. I don't know what's coming up in the next couple of weeks because we everyone's like on summer break now. And plus, it's just like you walk outside and you melt. So I don't know. We're kind of taking a little summer sabbatical with webinars. Yeah. Am I on glue, Ann, or is that
No, you're not on glue, actually. We have something coming up, I think, in the next 3 weeks, but nothing up on our website yet. We're still waiting on confirmation on a title. So of course, we won't let you down. We have lots of Monday night webinars in store for the rest of the year.
We won't let your inbox go empty. Don't worry.
Never.
Awesome. Well, thanks again, you guys. Have a good evening.
Thanks, you too. Thanks for watching, everybody. See ya.
Bye.